is Patricia Martin, and welcome to the Health, Wealth, and Happiness Show. My guest today is Brad Schmidt. It's autumn in Tennessee, my favorite time of the year.
Welcome, Brad. Thank you so much for being here.
It's beautiful.
You're here for a specific message today. A lot of people have known you around town, and for many years, 10 years or so, you've been a journalist?
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, I came here in 1990, and as a police reporter for the Tennessean, and in 1995, one of the editors created a celebrity news column called Brad About You.
I know, I remember that, yeah.
So that was my big thing in the media world, was doing that page 3A column in the Tennessean.
Oh, I know, everybody. I mean, that's what we read. We wanted to see who was doing what and where and who was opening and what CDs were being released. It must have been a lot of fun.
You know, it was, and then it got to be too much fun. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I had what I think a lot of people in Nashville would probably consider a dream job, right?
I thought it was.
Because I got to go to all the concerts. A lot of times there was a little gathering before or after the show backstage.
Right.
We got free CDs all the time. Constant #1 parties.
Who'd you get to meet?
Well, country music was, almost everybody. I've been lucky enough to interview, Garth Brooks,
Wow.
Patricia, and Clint Black, and Alan Jackson, and Blake Shelton, and Miranda Lambert, and Carrie Underwood.
Wow.
Carrie Underwood, right in her first, I think I did her first major interview after American Idol, after she won.
Oh, wow.
So that was really fun, because she's a much different, she was very...
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I mean, it really was an absolute dream job for anybody who has any interest at all in country music or celebrities.
And when I read, you didn't really have an interest in country music to start.
That's right. You are a good reader. Yeah, well, when I was the police reporter, and I'm from Pittsburgh, and I didn't listen to country music. And the editor's like, why don't you do the celebrity news column? And I thought, that is insane. I do my job. I go to the bar, even back then, mm-hmm. with my fellow police reporters or police officers, mm-hmm. and I go to sleep. I didn't go to movies. I didn't listen to country music. I didn't go to concerts. None of that.
You didn't watch TV?
No, I really didn't watch TV at all. And the editor said, did you know how to cover the police beat when you started? And I said, no. He said, well, how are you good at it now? I said, well, I just learned. Learn the celebrity beat. Like, wow. You learn the police beat. I was like, okay.
And you did some pretty hairy things on the police beat. Undercover and...
Yeah, the one thing, that was... Susan Thompson and I lived in an apartment right on the edge of the projects in East Nashville for 30 days.
And what did you find? What happened? What was that all about?
Dilaudid.
Oh, wow.
Is
that still around?
Yes, very much so. The point of us living in the projects for 30 days is called Inner City Diary, and I think it was youth crime was on the rise like crazy in Nashville, and all over, but especially in Nashville. And so they just wanted to sort of take a look at some of the areas some of these kids were coming up in, and what the sort of the external forces, what their life was like. So we sat there, and Susan pretended to be a nail, what do you call those?
Technician.
Pedicure, yeah.
A mani-pedi technician.
Yeah, mani-pedi wannabe. She was working on her license.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
And I was her deadbeat boyfriend who was, getting them drinks and microwaving. So I would play with the kids while she talked to the women, and there were very few men around. And so, right, it was coming out of the undercover in the projects that they said, you want to be a celebrity news columnist. Crazy. But yeah, that's how Brad About You got started. They thought correctly that since we are in Nashville, there was a great interest in what they were doing sort of outside of the formal articles.
Right.
Just little tidbits.
Mm-hmm.
People, hey, I ran into Patty Loveless at Kroger in Green Hills. People kind of buzz out of that. They're like, ooh.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, that's sort of, who's so-and-so dating? Or, just little nuggets that didn't really fit into maybe a big story.
Do you miss it? Would you like to do it again?
Well, I'm living a little different life.
And how? You want to tell about why you're living a little bit different life?
Yeah. So as part of being bred about you, there was a lot of access to alcohol, a lot of parties, a lot of number ones. I got to be friendly with some of the actual celebrities and the songwriters around them, and a lot of the socializing was around alcohol. Now, I made my own choices.
Right.
I chose to drink, and I chose to drink and drive, and I chose to do whatever drugs that I did, and the bad behaviors were my choices. Mm-hmm. So I'm not blaming it on any sort of Music Row culture, because those were my choices. And there are many people on Music Row who have never, gotten drunk, or who've never driven drunk, who didn't make the same choices that I did. So it wasn't like a total culture, but there was a lot of and I found that my drinking progressed. So like I would start with a couple of beers, and then I would have a couple of vodka sodas, and then almost every time I eventually was drinking, I was drunk. And the number of times I was drinking went from, if you referred to that National Scene article that I wrote, I mean, it went from 1 or 2 nights, like sort of a weekend warrior, binge drinker, to 2, 3 nights a week, 4, 5, 6 nights a week.
And I've gone to those functions. I mean, they're centered around, I remember I won't say the name of the alcohol person, but they bring in the money. They furnish the alcohol, and the drinks. I mean, the whole evening is surrounded about what drinks you'll have, whether it's I won't say which functions I've attended, but and been on the boards and whatever. But they're very, very much surrounded and all about the drinking.
But what's interesting now too is, and Peter Frampton said it, more and more, there's always bottled water. There's always fruit. There's always grilled chicken. There's always healthy choices to drink and to eat. And and so much so that it's way outnumbered. I asked Peter Frampton in an interview that I did in the late 90s, it's like, what's it like backstage now? And he goes, well, we have exercise equipment and cases of bottled water.
Wow.
And old ladies, instead of girls hitting on us, old ladies wave and go, hey. And I think he's right in that, obviously he's an older artist than he was in the 70s, but I think that sort of culture has changed somewhat.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think people are more into health.
Yeah.
You think maybe they're more into being healthier, and maybe that, it's not... Maybe that's not the reason for going to these parties.
I mean, look what the artists are doing now. Blake Shelton is a huge drinker and talks about it all. But Carrie Underwood is constantly talking about eating right, and juicing and working out.
And working out. Yeah, exactly.
And so the culture isn't good. Like I said, my choices.
Right.
My choices and my my illness, my addiction, which I didn't think I had.
Right.
Until, So my crash and burn came. I went from Brad About You to News 2, WKRN, Nashville's News 2, in 2006 as their entertainment
reporter. Great people to work with, huh?
I also had a good time there. Although, the new sort of the job, and I think anybody who's had a job change can relate to this. I was kind of freaked out a little bit. It was a new medium. I wasn't very TV savvy in terms of doing the equipment myself. And editing, and then the website was really, big, so we have to constantly feed the website. And so I had a lot more sort of pressure, so I found myself working and then drinking. And that really became my life.
You don't have family here?
Overworking and then over drinking. I have some brothers and sisters that are, outside of Tennessee. But I don't have any family here. But I mean, my friends were my drinking buddies. And so that became my life. And then I got 2 DUIs, and on the second one, Channel 2 fired me. And
that's when you made the front page of the Scene?
Well, there were several articles and TV stories about me getting fired, and online stories. I thought the world knew because, my name was out there with drunk and fired. And
And they didn't.
Not that many people
I
do.
didn't know until, we started. I didn't know. No, people
Yeah.
didn't know. I wondered what had happened to you, but
Right.
I didn't know.
But not everybody, right. But to me, it was such a,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so brave of you
Oh,
now, and it's such an honor for you to be on the show and to tell our audience, about what your story and how you've turned things around.
Thank you. So when I was sentenced, they worked a deal where I got a DUI 1 the second time if I would go to rehab, to treatment. And I thought, well, of course I'll go to treatment. I don't want to go to jail for 45 days.
No.
At treatment, at least, they have nice beds and buffets. All you can eat.
Right.
Got to keep one of my addictions alive and well. And I didn't really go with the idea that I'm an alcoholic or an addict, but I went with the idea of I'm going to avoid 45 days in jail. And then it was while I was there, and probably about a week or two in, and I was like, everything they're saying here makes sense.
But you were saying to yourself, you didn't shoot up. You weren't addicted to medications. You went out and went to the functions. You had drinks, maybe one too many or two too many, but you did your job well.
Well, yeah,
And you
right.
functioned.
And that was because I was so afraid to call myself an alcoholic or an
Right.
addict. I was like, ooh, I don't want to be one of those.
No.
But the more I heard, like the guy who was shooting up heroin, and we had the same malady, we had the same, I guess, spiritual hole.
Mm-hmm.
It was all the same. We
Yeah.
just all felt less than.
Right.
And we all felt out of place. And we used whatever. Alcohol, drugs, food, overworking, sex,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, folks
change that
use
state,
to
that-
change, the way we feel, to
It
change
changed
it.
the feeling.
And so, it became pretty clear to me that I am just like you people. I am one of us.
Wow. And you can we mention where you went to?
That's fine with me. It was in the article too. But I went to Cumberland Heights.
Right.
And that was a blessing because Music Cares, which is the Grammys charity branch, they actually paid for me to go, and I'm just so
Oh,
incredibly
wow. I didn't
grateful.
even know that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and I didn't make a dime in the music
So
business.
thank you to Music Cares.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that you got to go to watch it. It's a beautiful facility. If anybody's ever had an opportunity to visit, it's a great, or support them. It's on River Road, and it's a beautiful facility, and they're counselors, and treatment and doctors, and they're wonderful, really great. I have a couple of friends that I've gone and visited them, and they've managed to turn their lives around. It's really made a difference.
It's nice of you. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's so nice to have support from folks, because a lot of other folks, when they get deep in their addiction, they lose all their friends and family.
Yeah.
And I was
Well,
very
they're afraid, I
blessed.
think. Don't you
Yeah.
think they're
Oh,
afraid? They're afraid. It's contagious, or, we don't know what to do, or we don't know how to help, or if, it's kind of like a domestic thing. You don't want to get involved because this is going to go wrong. Somehow it's going to go wrong, but, we might as well just roll up our sleeves and get in there and help people.
That's great. Good for
Yeah.
you. No, you're right. I think fear is on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think that's brilliantly said.
Right.
But I was very lucky that my friends, there were some Sunday's visitation day, Cumberland Heights, that I had 15 and 20 people out there. I was super grateful. But there were a lot of folks who didn't have anybody.
Do you believe that things happen for a reason?
Yes.
I do too. I do too.
I do. I was not going to change. I saw my
No
I saw
accidents.
my news director, the news director who fired me at Channel 2. I saw him because I do a little bit of freelance still.
Mhm.
So I was at CMA Music Festival. They have press conferences every night at the stadium, and he was there. And he was kind of I don't know what the right word was, almost shy around me, and I was like, Matthew, did you what's wrong? Do you feel like in that National Scene article that you're the guy who fired poor Brad? And he was, yes. And I said, I have to tell you that you saved my life.
Wow.
If I didn't have consequences, if I didn't get arrested twice and fired, I would not have changed one thing I was doing.
Right.
Without the consequences are what made me stop.
Right.
Because the first DUI, Well, I stopped drinking for a little while, and I slowed down,
Right.
and then I revved it right back up again.
Right.
You know, and I didn't really take a look at changing anything seriously in my life until I had those consequences. So Matthew, yeah, so Channel 2, by firing me, gave me the opportunity to finally make the changes that I've needed to make probably for decades.
I have a friend that, we don't talk anymore. A couple of years ago, I received a call from another dear friend of his, and he was on a respirator at St. Thomas Hospital. They weren't expecting him. He's very young. I'm trying to think how old he was at the time. 34 or 5, 6, 7. And weren't expecting him to live through the night because he just totally blown his liver. A bottle of vodka a day. And he managed to live through the day, or through the night, and he's on a lot of medication last I heard, and I think he's on the liver transplant wing. You know, and he's so young.
Yeah.
But he almost died. And you think, you know, how's that possible? Because he wasn't somebody else that, you know, he functioned, went to work every day. Everybody loved him, but, you know, he had a real hole in his heart.
And then the disease part of it is that obsession and compulsion.
Mm-hmm.
I know I shouldn't drink,
Mm-hmm.
but I do it anyway.
Right.
I know I'm going to feel like crap at the other end of this, but I reach for it anyway. Again, drugs, sex, food, whatever it is that we reach for.
Right.
It's a disease of obsession and compulsion. But like I said, I got that opportunity to break that.
What did they do? What did it do in treatment? Is it mostly just detox?
Mostly shock therapy.
They put you on the rack.
It's terrible.
It's Halloween.
That's right. You know, it's just a bunch of therapy and education, really. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of what drives a lot of addictions are just core issues. You know, folks who were physically or sexually assaulted when they were kids, abandonment. You know, almost everything from childhood, which, you know, and of course, I never wanted to say anything about my childhood because I don't want to be a victim.
Right.
And I was in a facility full of people who never wanted to deal with things from their childhood. So the therapy started to deal with that, right? Mm-hmm. And then we met a lot of people who had some medium and long-term sobriety or clean time. We're like, oh, these guys are like me, but they have 5 years clean, 10 years clean, 20 years clean.
Wow.
You know, so it's like, well, how do they do that? And so then there's that whole,
So do you go to meetings?
12-step recovery, and right, there's all sorts of. There were several things that were part of after I got into Cumberland Heights, and one is the anonymous 12-step programs, which of course we cannot talk about much, other than to say that there's a wonderful fellowship and support with each other, and we've learned spiritual principles.
Right.
You know, honesty, open-mindedness, willingness. I had a therapist to deal with my stuff. My dad died when I was a boy, and Mom didn't always handle that so well.
Oh, okay.
And so, I had a therapist, and I had the 12, and then I went through something too at the YMCA called Restore Ministries, and they have small groups, support groups that are Christian based, which is funny since I grew up Jewish.
Oh, really?
But
wow.
When I started working for the Y, it was my first job out of rehab, and that was just when I found Restore Ministries, it was wonderful because they were like those big meetings that I went to, but they were smaller.
Right.
They were usually single gender, just guys. And there's only 10 of us, and it was closed, so we could. It was only.
Really? You could open
and then
up
we
and...
went through a curriculum, like on how to change, on how to how to make that transformation, and it was So I am very grateful for the 12-step programs. I'm very grateful for Restore Ministries. So that's it was Restore, 12 steps, and the fellowship, and then therapy, and that's got me to where today I'm about 3.5 years clean.
Oh, it's 3.5 years. Okay, I didn't know it was that long. Well, let's go.
Yeah, and it's maybe more importantly than not drinking is I'm just have a lot less fear. I'm not saying I don't have any, because I still do.
Right.
But I have a lot less fear and a lot more gratitude.
So you can go to functions and be around people that are drinking and be okay?
I can. I usually choose not to do a whole lot of that.
Right.
But there's still a little bit that I have to do for the freelance writing.
Right. Will there be a book in all this?
Oh, that scene article is so long. Woo! That was like 7,000, 8,000 words.
I wanted to read more. I think people...
Did you really?
Yeah, I do. I think there should be a book in this.
Who knows?
I mean, why-
God
why-
has not let me there yet.
Why save it just for the people here in Nashville and Middle Tennessee? I mean, why not, tell others?
Well, there's lots of folks in recovery. There's lots of folks who have compelling stories, and there are a lot of books out, and I've read several of them, including some from media figures and some from celebrities. I don't know. I haven't felt called in that direction yet, but who knows? Who knows what can happen.
So now you're working with Nashville Prevention Partnership. Did I say that right? I didn't say that right. Nashville Prevention Partnership. That's hard for me to say. Okay.
Yes, I am. Well, so I work for Restore. I ended up working for Restore Ministries part-time for about 6, 7, 8 months. So facilitating, co-facilitating those groups and, marketing them really, and getting the word out in the community. And that's how while I was doing that, I was on the board of National Prevention Partnership. It's an anti-drug coalition.
Okay.
Remember, this is your brain on drugs.
Right.
That's the kind of work that National Prevention Part, going into the schools, kids, here's Xanax and Oxycontins and all these things that you're all, Roxy's and.
So you're available if somebody wants you to come
Don't
speak at
do that. But
school or function or.
Right. So that's the prevention part. So obviously prevention does not work.
Right.
100% or even 50%.
As soon
Right.
as I say don't think of the color blue, what do? Don't do drugs.
Yeah. And the other thing is too, if we're addicts, usually the disease is in you anyway. And one thing addicts or most people don't like is this, right? So now National Prevention Partnership has added recovery through a state grant and through hiring me.
But if somebody is not cognitively aware that they are an addict, how do you? In other words, have you helped friends?
Patricia, you're onto something.
Okay.
This is exactly really what I'm doing. I'm called a peer recovery coordinator. And peer means I'm an addict like you. Right. Peer meaning, folks in recovery. The state, there's 10 of us across the state. I'm Nashville.
Oh.
And so, how do I know, wait, I don't know I'm an addict. I didn't know.
You didn't know.
So what they hope to do is get out in the community, Rotary, Kiwanis, schools, churches, synagogues. Right. So our goal is to get folks in medium and long-term recovery to go out and tell their stories. Not to lecture at anybody, but just to tell our stories. Here's how I drank and used, and here's how I progressed, and here's what happened, and here's how I found recovery, and here's how I live now. And so if folks who are listening might relate, hey, that's how I live, that's how I drink, that's how I feel. So maybe just to let those folks sort of tie in and sort of just start the process going sort of from pre-contemplation to contemplation. The 5 states of changes, right? So we, just get them into start thinking about maybe, and then we'll have literature available for all sorts of ways to recovery. But we just want to tell stories. We want folks in from 2, 3, 5 plus years of recovery to get out in the community. We always tell our stories inside the rooms, inside, recovery. But we don't tell it out. We're sort of preaching to the choir.
Right.
So we want to get folks in recovery outside, if they're comfortable. If they're comfortable to tell their stories to folks who really might need to hear it. Or folks who are related to, or folks who are dating, or folks who are married to, or folks who are living with.
Have you had impact on people that were your drinking buddies or anything like that?
One of my old drinking buddies and bartenders has found way into recovery.
Oh, wonderful.
After I did, and I was part of that process, and there are some other folks too. It's one that's and nothing is better. There's not a concert or a celebrity interview or an audience high that's bigger than being part of somebody finding recovery and getting out of
beginning to live instead of
freedom.
It is. Yeah, that's very cool. You wanted to talk about your actual experience with the Nashville lovely facility, the jails.
I think Tony wanted me to talk about it.
Tony wanted to talk about it.
Well,
with you
I was arrested twice. So the first time, was in Sumner County. I lived in Opry Mills, and I was driving home on 65, and I was just out of it, and I missed my exit. I was 8 miles past, and I was basically asleep behind the wheel, going 45 miles an hour, somehow or other by God's grace, in a fairly straight line. And when the blue lights came on, it woke me up. So that's how I ended up in Sumner County, and then the jail was. It was a cell about as big as this couch, that was lit up like an operating room, and you get a yoga mat, maybe, or a mattress that's about 1.5 inches thick, and that's your bed, because it's just a concrete block and a concrete floor and a toilet. And well, I mean, it's jail. So, but it was like, I knew it was not going to be comfortable, but I was really like,
I've never been
really
in jail. I
uncomfortable.
don't have any idea what they look like.
Yeah. And in Sumner County, if you, whatever you're wearing has to be white. So if you don't have like a white boxers and t-shirt, you are only wearing the thin jumpsuit that they give you.
Oh.
So that was, and it's about 60 degrees in there.
Oh my.
So that was less than comfortable.
Right.
And it was only 20. The second, with Metro Jail, I was in 500, 600 person gym. Like, and just rows and
Really?
rows
500 or
of
600 people?
rows and rows of bunk beds. And that was
What are they in there for? Everything?
everything sort of pre-trial.
Oh.
But the DUI people jump in with the pre-trial. So yeah, there's guys there who've done robberies and a lot of drugs, a lot of people who had violated their probation, a lot of people complaining that they were done wrong by the system,
Right.
and a lot of people trading bologna for peanut butter.
Wow.
That was the most often, bologna for peanut butter for bologna, bologna for peanut butter, that's what the horse trading of the sandwiches at lunch
my
was
gosh.
the biggest communication among us
Wow.
orange jumpsuit wearers.
Did you get any confrontations or anything with it?
No,
You're a big guy, though.
well, and I just sort of, it was 2.5 days. I just sort of laid on my cot, and walked around a little bit. I didn't really talk to anybody. It was a very dark, like very angry, almost place. Yeah, everyone didn't do it, and everyone was really angry.
Mm.
And it was just a soul-sucking place. And the guards were, not very kind.
You tell that for us too, and it'll be on the screen as well.
It's National Prevention Partnership, so my email is brad@npponline.org.
Okay, and again, you're Brad Schmidt, and this is Health, Wealth, and Happiness Show. I'm Patricia, and thank you very much, Brad, for
Thank
being
you.
on my show.